今日も冒険頑張るのだ。みんな頑張れよ。
染まらない小さい膨らむ物語。Let's go go ご機嫌よ Let's go go 泳いではエレガント角をついた
Oh my god! Dude, this motherfucker's moving so heavy.
Fuck.
Please! 黙らせる。ベリーイージーね。
on, dude. Bro, man, this goes so hot. What? Oh, I haven't heard this one yet. What up, Dr. Pierce? Thank you very much for the prime song. Wow. Thank you very, very much. You would like to add a song, so you can pop down the information below, go right ahead. They are all free. What? Excuse me, dude?
Blood.
That is so nuts. Dude, they made it super intimidating. What? I mean, he was already intimidating to begin with, but Jesus. Wow, dude, what the frick? Why did they go so high?
Please! とどめだ！せい！とはい
Well, shit. Never mind.
Let's talk about the foundation of mathematics. So what does it even mean and why? If you go back, I don't know, let's say 300 years to the days of Gauss, people would make statements and they would prove them, do some computation, and call it a day. Later on, when we get to the early 19th century, problems started kind of creep up. There's a famous thing about what is the smallest number that's smaller than every positive quantity but greater than zero is, and why can you even do that as the base of the Newtonian, calculus. Then Cauchy came up with this idea of how to formalize this without these infinitesimals. And if you study the history of mathematics closely, then even his idea of what is a continuous function were actually not correct. What he actually thought of is what we would today refer to as uniformly continuous functions. As mathematicians developed more and more and more, at some point somebody came and said, this is too much. We need to have a framework where we all agreed on the rules and we can work from there upwards. And this is what foundation of mathematics is. It's about finding this kind of framework and formalizing everything to make sure that if the framework is fine, everything is fine.
Who or what organisation has the authority to do that?
Nobody. Who has the authority to find the English language?
Well, in France, they do have an academy that does that.
I know. There are some countries and languages they do have that, but English, for example, doesn't. Right. Mathematics, just as well. Right. If you really think about what is mathematics, it's a social activity done by mathematicians. So there's no official authority, but it's kind of a practical use. It's the most famous foundation of mathematics. In a way, the de facto foundation of mathematics is set theory through the axioms of Zermelo, Frenkel, and the axiom of choice, sometimes referred to as ZFC. I'm not going to go into exactly what it is or any of that.
You are a set theorist.
I am a set theorist.
So it seems like you would tell me that the best foundation of mathematics is in set theory.
So I think it's a very good foundation, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But it's not the only foundation. And also ZFC is not the only set theory that can be used as a foundation, although by far it is the most successful one in terms of how well it caught on and how well we can use it. Other foundations can be type theory. This is very common for people working closer to computer science. There's all manner of type theories, homotopy type theory and simple type theory and all kinds of things in between. There's category theory, which uses you want to classify and say all structures that look like this, and this is a category, and then you can say all structures look like that is a category, and then you can compare them and understand how the categories themselves look like and what kind of information you can extract from that. These are all ways you can formalize all of mathematics into one big framework. And this is the important thing. The important thing is to have this framework.
If you're a set theorist, right, and you're telling me about set theories have their own foundation of mathematics idea, you have to make one that's also going to accommodate number theory and algebra and all that stuff.
Yes.
Right.
So the idea is that everything can be interpreted into this, right? This is just like if you have a computer, maybe you have a Mac, maybe you have a PC, maybe you're using an Android phone. Those all different computers in a very deep sense. They use different kind of architecture in the CPU, and they have different limitations and physical sizes and all of that. But they can all run YouTube for you to watch this video. How do they do that? The idea is that YouTube, you write all this code in some high-level concept for language, and that gets interpreted and interpreted down, and eventually gets to just, physical, electrical signals, and that allows you to somehow build it all back. So the idea of foundation of mathematics, in a very deep sense, is to give you exactly this base layer. If you ask people, for example, who are all geared towards computer science, that a lot of them are very angry at set theory as a foundation, and they will tell you it's wrong and that it should be type theory because it's easier to do all kind of mechanical verifications and so on, which is an argument, and arguably even a good argument, right? So they would want, I imagine, the foundation of mathematics not just to be the CPU, but also the operating system, also the browser or the app. But at the end of the day, the important thing is just have something you can...
It would seem to me that the perfect foundation theory of mathematics wouldn't come from any of the camps. It would somehow sit above them all.
Well, the important thing to remember is that in set theory, you can understand type theory and interpret it in the sense that you can run it as a set. In type theory, you can interpret set theory and run it as a type. And you can understand both of these in the lens of category theory, and you can understand category theory from the lens of set theory. They're all equally valid. I honestly think that the best way to choose one is whatever clarifies your argument best. A very famous mathematician told me when I was just starting my master's, and I asked him something about one of the set theory axioms. And he said, good foundation of mathematics should not interfere with the mathematics itself. This is why I find set theory to sometimes be a very good foundation, because it doesn't interfere. You can just do your maths, you know that you can formalize it into ZFC or whatever, and it's fine. Whereas if you want to formalize it into type theory, maybe, not always, but maybe you'd need to have some extra checks and to do some extra things. So, all kind of additional work. This is why some of the axioms of mathematics are incredibly successful, because they allow you to kind of like put it in the back, ignore it, it's fine, it's working. Right? Write your code in JavaScript. You don't care, it's just gonna run. And this is why we need foundation of mathematics.
Why do we need a foundation of mathematics? Because everyone seems to be doing mathematics for a long time and it all seems to be working. It seems like we're trying to come up with some overarching rules and policy that maybe doesn't even need to be there.
Well, we want to make sure that what we do is correct. And how do you do that? Well, you can just take someone's word for it, and I'll grant you that lots of smart people in mathematics, not me, but lots of very smart people. But then you see that smart people make mistakes. One of the famous recent examples isn't on a mathematical scale, right? Vladimir Vygotsky, which is a name you may have heard. He was a very famous mathematician. He won the Fields Medal for some of his work in, I think, differential geometry. And maybe a decade later, somebody had found a mistake in one of his, key works, and nobody could figure out because the proof was so airtight, and also the counterexample was so airtight. So it wasn't clear what was going on. After a lot of work, Vygotsky had found out the counterexample is correct. However, any and all uses of his work were within a kind of reduced version that the counterexample didn't contradict, and everything was fine. And after that, he said, this set theoretic foundation is terrible because it's very hard to check this kind of concepts that are very far removed from set theory. And he started pushing for formalizing mathematics in homotopy type theory and using a proof assistant, which you can program your proof into, and it will tell you whether or not the proof is correct. He worked on this very hard. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. But there's a very vibrant community of people who work on this. They tend to be more combative about foundation of mathematics than most set theorists. But, I guess they have the reasons. But this is a very good example of there was a mistake, and it took a very long time to clarify the problem. One of the biggest examples of this kind of project was done by Russell and Whitehead in the early 20th century in the Principia Mathematica, where famously they managed to prove 1 + 1 = 2 in page 200 or something. There's a story I heard once, I don't know how true it is, but somebody asked Russell, why do you need all of these complicated things to prove 1 + 1 = 2? And he said, we need that so that when you go and prove other things that are less obvious, it is a lot easier to see why they're true, because it's so not obvious anymore that you have rules to follow one step at a time. And so when we do mathematics, you want to think of writing something in a formal language and then reducing everything one step at a time. Now, as you progress, you have to reduce things 5 steps at a time or 100 steps at a time. And this is where mistakes creep in. And if you have a lot of experience and you develop the intuition, everything could be fine. But my experience as a somewhat young-ish mathematician, I would like to think, is that there are always mistakes. You write a proof and you say it's fine, and then you go and you write your research paper, and there's a small thing that you need to correct for, and sometimes the whole thing collapses. And this is exactly why we need to.
So what's the end game for foundational mathematics? Is it to come up with a computer program that you any proof into and it gives you an arrow across?
So some people actually work towards that. There's Lean, developed by Microsoft, I think, which is very famous nowadays, and it's being pushed as something very strong that helps these kind of things. There are other proof assistants, and they all equally the same in the sense that you program your proof into them and they tell you if it's okay or not. And they might be able to help you and identify gaps or problems. I can give you one example in my research field that happened recently. There's a technique called falsing. Let's not go into what or how it's being done, but one of the approaches of formalizing this is you say, take some finite fragment of ZFC. How finite? We don't know, we don't care, we know we can prove it exists, but we don't know what it is. Last year, a research group had finally found out what that finite fragment is by formalizing the proof around the technique of falsing and finding out exactly what it is. Is it important? Yes. Is it useful for me as a set theorist? Not so much, but it is very important that we can, in fact, know that. This is one of the things that we do today. Now, arguably, you'd want eventually to have some AI that helps you with it. Clearly not GPT and large language models. Those produce utter garbage at this point. It is hilarious sometimes to read that. When you put like, hey, prove this to me, and you get this incredible nonsense. Things that not even freshmen undergrads can write down. Amazing. But I'm sure some people hope that one day we can tell the AI, hey, try and prove that for me. And it will go through the library of knowledge and be able to do that. Now, whether or not this will ultimately replace mathematicians, I don't know. We'll have to find out. Is it a good idea? I'm sure I'll be very happy if I had an AI that said that I could tell, hey, prove this terrible and overly technical problem for me. I see in my research field a lot of the problems that are open because it's technical quagmire. You put your hand into it and you just sink in. And at the end, somebody solves it after many years, and the solution is just to very painstakingly do one thread at a time until you reveal the answer. Amazing use for AI, don't get me wrong. Will it happen? We'll have to wait and see. But certainly this is one of the goals, is to have that. From a different perspective, the goal is just to know there's a uniform foundation that we just need to worry about that. And you can sleep well at night knowing that this foundation is solid and your math is fine. Aleph 1 is the size of how many types you can get for well over the natural number.
But it's not all the different ways you can rearrange them. It's not.
No. That is actually 2 to the Aleph 0.
あ、また来たな。疲れたら無理すんなよ。
いらっしゃい。おう。何か素晴らしい。気をつけるんだよ。
そろそろ来ると思ってたぞ。夕方まででいいの？
I've had my fill with this team,
頑
honestly.
張れよ。
I'd like to go back to Mara and Cal.
誰を呼びますか？いってらっしゃい。
It's a fun team. But it's not for me.
お主何を売るのじゃ？取引新製品何を売るのじゃ？なんじゃ？毎度ありじゃ。 あ、また来た。なんだっけ。どこにしまったかな。任せとけ。どうするの？気をつけていくんだぞ。
I should be able to fight the boss now, but I got other stuff to do.